Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for being here to what is, to my mind, a historic morning and the beginnings of a historic future. As you know, and I don't want to labor the point because there will be much said, the Club of Rome in the 70s charted a future for the world around ecology, which the world today is seeing come true. It wasn't a future based on doomsaying. It was a prediction based on the realities that the world needs to address and needs to come to terms with. The fact that the Club of Rome at that point in time talked about sustainability when it was not fashionable, talked about the role that sustainability must play in each of our lives, and the consciousness with which we must ascribe ourselves to the values of sustainability have all come ringingly true. But that's not why we're here. We're here to see the aspects, the facets, and the impact of economics, ecology, and values, three of which are principal pillars of a world that we want to create, of a world that we want to bring order to, but more importantly, a world that we want to cherish, and most importantly, leave behind for future generations. We are now ready for the inaugural session, so may I invite Mr. Sam Pitroda, who's the chairman of the Knowledge Commission of India, Mr. Eberhard von Koeber, who's the co-president of the Club of Rome, Switzerland chairman, and the CEO of Eberhard von Koeber AG Germany, Ashok Khosla, co-president of the Club of Rome, Switzerland, and founder and chairperson of Development Alternatives India, Mr. S. Ramdurai, chairman of the Indian National Association of the Club of Rome and advisor to the Prime Minister of India, the National Council on Skill Development, and Ranjit Barthakur, secretary of the Indian National Association of the Club of Rome and founder and chairperson of Globally Managed Services.
Great privilege and a pleasure to see so many old friends and so many new ones. Today, as Sohail said earlier, is an important day in the life of our nation, because we are starting to think about issues, as the film said, that are really of life and death, eschatological issues that really go to the root of our existence as civilization, as humanity, and indeed as life on Earth. Many of the things that you saw in the film are about deep threats to the life support systems on our planet. And this is a recognition that is not very old. 20, 30 years ago, very few people even thought about these issues. In 1968, through the incredible foresight of a few people, in a villa in Rome, a bunch of very eminent and thoughtful people gathered together at the invitation of one of Europe's top, most revered business persons, corporate leaders, Aurelio Peccei, met. Aurelio had been an extremely successful business person. He was the head of Fiat, he was the head of Olivetti. He had set up post-war reconstruction of industries for Europe and Italy. And yet, here was a person who, though totally successful in the real world, economics, was getting more and more worried about the way the world was going. He noticed inequities around him. He noticed the levels of pollution and environmental degradation around him. And he invited some of his friends to really think about, was the kind of economic progress that we were espousing, searching for in the post-World War years really going to lead to the kind of world that we all want? This is really very advanced thinking in 1968. Few people even thought about these issues. And it's a tribute to him and his friends that they decided to make a commitment. They set up something called the Club of Rome, they met in Rome, and they brought together a powerful dedication, if you like, of collective will to identify, to look at what are the big issues, and also to communicate. Identification of the issues and communication were equally important for these gentlemen, and they went around the world collaring all the heads of state, all the corporate leaders, the time to basically to set up a list.
India is important for the world as one of the major G20 countries and the soul engine, as you just said so well. And India is important for the Club of Rome. And the Club of Rome wants to be important for India. These are the reasons why we decided 2 years ago to have this year's annual conference in India. We have two opportunities today. Firstly, we want to inaugurate and celebrate the new Indian National Association of the Club of Rome. And secondly, we want to stage this conference with the title Economics, Ecology and Values. India meets the world. We shall analyze, enter into lively high-level dialogue and draw conclusions and give recommendations on economics, ecology and values. And we want to give a message of warning and hope to the world here from Delhi, which will be much more important and impressive these days than possibly giving it from Europe. The Club of Rome is extending its presence and reach globally. Last year to Japan, this year to India, and next year to China and South Korea. We are in the process of overcoming a certain Eurocentric tradition, and we are very pleased, proud, and happy to be in Delhi and to underline the importance of a stronger presence here in Asia and in particular in India. We do have great expectations for today and tomorrow that the collective brain assembled here will allow this conference to produce tangible results and to communicate these to the world.
Now, to mark the inauguration of the Indian National Association, we would like to invite one Mr. Suhail Seth to guide us. Thank you.
It's very simple actually, it's the lighting of the lamp. So if I may request everyone to please rise and move towards the lamp.
At this time, I would also request Mr. Khosla to guide the handover of the Charter of the Indian National Association to Mr. Ramodarai, Chairman of the Indian National Association.
We are indeed witnessing a major shift in thinking about the developmental paradigm. I travel a great deal, meet lots of our friends in the US and Europe, and everyone is focused on China and India. I'd like to share with you some of my sort of random thoughts on what is happening today and what I believe could happen in the next few decades. I firmly believe that the technology is the key to this shift. Technology has indeed given us a great deal of benefits. Longevity has increased, infant mortality has decreased, communication has improved, transportation is more convenient, but at the same time, technology has not been able to address the challenges related to poverty, hunger, environmental blunders, and the list goes on and on. The main reason, I believe, is that the best brains in the world have been busy solving problems of the rich, who really don't have problems to solve. And as a result, problems of the poor really has not been able to get the kind of talent it requires. A classical example would be the best of the best designer in the world would go work for Louis Vuitton or Cartier and never look at designing better slums because it's not paying. I can give you hundreds of examples where the talent just gets diverted towards incremental gains. And more talented people are interested more in extracting values than creating values. I know PhDs in electrical engineering, MBAs want to go work for investment banks. Naturally, you can extract a lot of values quickly, as opposed to create value, which takes little longer time and is little difficult. In particular, information and communication technology is going to be the key and has been the key. It brings about openness, accessibility, connectivity, democratization, decentralization, and as a result, massive transformation.